And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. The man to my left over here is Marcus. Marcus, how's it going today, man?
Hey, pretty good, pretty good. No NBA games tonight. It's kind of weird. It's usually every day there was none Saturday too as well. It's weird. That was kind of weird as well. They should have put one of those game sevens on Saturday, but hey, it is what it is. I'm doing good.
Yeah, I was kind of lost on Saturday, as like I didn't know what to do with my hands all day. So like my wife's like,
Right.
here's a honey to do list, and like now, like now I'm living out of my truck here for the next couple of days,
Oh
on
man.
on the road for work. So like I got
Oh wow.
got the honey-do list done, but it's all good. It's all good. The Royals lost to the Phillies last like this past night, so it's another Marcus and Mike show. Another Royals loss. Surprise, surprise. I guess that's what happens when you are the worst team in the Major League Baseball
Oh
format here.
man. I have the opposite problem. The Astros swept the Rangers this weekend, and now the Astros have more wins, I think, than anybody in the American League. I think the only team in baseball that has more wins is like Los Angeles or something. So
Right.
Astros are doing pretty well.
They are doing pretty well, but it has shown time and time again that they can do well in the regular season again, and they get knocked out in the first round very easily. But hopefully, that's not the case for you this October. Uh, but Marcus, I want to start on Friday's game right off the bat here. You predicted Houston was going to win. They lost 118 to 113. Steph Curry was held scoreless in the first half. Scored was 13 points in the third quarter and then went off for
Yeah.
24 points in the fourth quarter. Um, I've said it time and time again. Uh, this Rockets team is not built to win championships. They're built to win regular season games. You cannot
Yeah.
win playoff basketball playing ISO basketball like they
Yeah.
have been. And I think it's time that they blow that up. New coach, maybe a couple new players. What are your thoughts on that? First off,
Well, I don't know about blowing it up, but I'll tell you right now, they're going to have to add new pieces. And you're 100% right that I took the Rockets. I was like, look, no Durant. This is do or die for Houston, and they have to win Game 6 at home, and then at least get it to a Game 7. And I think they should win Game 7 without Kevin Durant. But you saw the old Golden State Warriors show up from 2014 to 2016. Those guys at the end of the game and in the second half, that was the same Warriors, the two-time MVP and Stephen Curry. You got Klay Thompson, perennial All Star. The Draymond Green doing what he does. He's more implemented in the offense now because Kevin Durant is gone. It's not so much ISO ball like the Rockets, and Draymond Green's out there running around and getting assists and rebounds and being his old usual self from a couple years ago. Then you got the Finals MVP Iguodala knocking down 5 threes. I mean, God, I mean, Durant. Listen, with Kevin Durant, they're going to win the championship. The Warriors, and without him, they've got a good shot at winning. This is the team. It's the real deal here. And as far as the Rockets are concerned, James Harden. I mean, he made too many bad plays down the stretch. I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, that's his mo. You just talked about that. I mean, this guy's supposed to be this great player, and yet down the stretch he doesn't get it done. I'm mad at Eric Gordon though. Eric Gordon didn't come to play. Chris Paul came to play.
yeah,
Eric Gordon was a non-factor, and Clint Capella finally showed up. A little bit here and there, 10 points, 10 rebounds. But I need more from Capella, making $85 million or $90 million, something ridiculous. Clint Capella, just like Steven Adams, has got to be on that glass, getting like 20, 25 rebounds a game like this, where everybody's just jacking up shots. Clint Capella should be getting putbacks, laying them in. He should have 20 points alone, Clint Capella on putbacks. As many as Eric Gordon missed. That guy was, like I said, Eric Gordon was bad. I mean, there's only, and I mentioned this a lot on Facebook and everywhere else. The only way Rockets win is if Chris Paul shows out and turns the clock back to the old Clipper Chris Paul, and he did that. James Harden has to have an MVP game, but Eric Gordon needs to have 30 as well, at least 25, and Eric Gordon didn't. If you get Eric Gordon going and gets at least 25, then you might have a shot to beat the Warriors, but that didn't happen. Um, Stephen Curry, I mean, what are you going to say? He was great. The funny thing about it is Stephen Curry's numbers dip in the playoffs as well. He usually gets figured out, and the refs call a different game for him. But he's better than Harden. I mean, if you had to put some money on somebody, and before a game, and you said, "Hey, money on Curry or Harden to get to win this thing for their team, you'd easily pick Stephen Curry. I mean, and even if there was a little bit of debate on Friday, who would you pick? Stephen Curry just put a stamp on that. And yeah, I mean that system, Mike D'Antoni's system, is not going to work in the NBA. And if it works, he needs better players. If it's going to work, he needs better play. He needs a fourth. They need a fourth and fifth guy that can score as well. You can't rely on James Harden, who sometimes, I mean, who a lot of times doesn't show up big. You can't rely on a 33-year-old point guard like Chris Paul. He had his best game of the series. And you can't rely on Eric Gordon. Listen, Eric Gordon's one of the best players in NBA history that has never made an all-star team. He's right there with Mike Bibby, that has never made an all-star team. CJ McCollum, we're going to talk about him. I don't think CJ been an all-star. Like, these players are – the all-star team's a popularity contest. And some of the really, really good players don't make the all-star team. It's weird. But Eric Gordon's one of the best of all time, never to make an all-star team. He's a career 17 points per game scorer. And he would actually do better than that if he had – back in the day when he was the main one for his team. So yeah, Eric Gordon didn't show up, and that was really disappointing. But Houston's gonna have to go back to the drawing board. They need to figure something out. I think Morey, the GM there, is gonna do something. He's not gonna stand pat. He's got to make some trades and do something. The funny thing is, Michael, they don't have any cap space. They don't have any draft picks, and they're tied up. Listen to this. They're tied up on $174 million to Capella and Chris Paul. Two players that aren't going to beat the Warriors moving forward. So what do you do with that? I mean, it's ridiculous. Clint Capella, just like Steven Adams, is a non-factor against the Warriors. You need to match the Warriors with five guys in the triple threat position that can score, pass, rebound, shoot, and can do something with the ball when the shot clock's winding down. You have to put five players on the court that can do those things. Is not one of those players. Steven Adams, DeAndre Jordan, I told you this about a month ago. You know, one of the big reasons the Clippers never could get by the Warriors is DeAndre Jordan's on the court. DeAndre Jordan's, people love in San Antonio, I want this shot blocker. I need a rim protector. That's awesome. That's not going to beat the Warriors.
Nope.
You need five guys out there on the court that can score. And so Clint Capella is not one of those guys. So, yeah, Daryl Morey's going to have to figure out something out because they have no cap space, no draft picks, and they got a lot of money tied up into people that can't beat the Warriors. That's a problem for Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I hear everything you are saying, and I've been I've been so up and down on the Houston team that like I don't even know which way to think anymore. I definitely do not think that this system that they currently run, their offense that they run, will not ever win an NBA title. I don't care if you have five scorers on the court or not. If you are playing one-on-one isolation, you have to get other players involved. What happens if James Harden is just ice cold and he's missing 28, 30 shots, and those other four guys standing there on the offensive side never get in a flow of the game. They'll never have an opportunity to make big shots. This right now makes me start thinking, man, if they had Carmelo, would they have maybe possibly beat Houston with KD going down? And then I start to think, no, because Carmelo would have never been able to get in the flow of of the game because he is a volume shooter just like James Harden. So he has to get his touches, he has to get in the flow of the game. And like when you run an ISO with Chris with Harden the whole time for 87% of your possessions, how are you supposed to win like that?
Yeah.
It just not work. Speaking of Clint Capella here, he only had 10 points. How are you paying a player this much money to score 10 points in a must-win game six home game versus a wounded Golden State team?
I mean, you're 100%. Yeah. No. Look at. Did you see Montrezl Harrell last series for Clippers?
Right.
That's what Clint Capella should have been doing. Mm-hmm. He should have been dominating the glass and eating everything up and laying the ball in. Listen, the only silver light at the end of the tunnel here for the Warriors, for the Rockets, is in the tunnel for all of us. Spurs, Nuggets, Blazers, is that Durant hopefully, gets out of there. And so now, yes, you're going to be playing against the other Warriors, the other great, what you
Right.
just saw on Friday night, but at least there's a little bit of a chance. With Kevin Durant, there is no chance. If the Warriors come back as is, it's just another season of, well, who's going to come in second place?
Right.
But if Kevin Durant goes to the Knicks, and now you're playing just the regular Warriors, the regular great team, the Warriors of just a couple years ago and of what you saw Friday night, I'm not saying there isn't a team out there that's going to beat those Warriors teams. I'm saying there's a little slimmer of a chance of winning against a Kevin Durant-less Warriors. And we'll get into that on the Western Conference in the Western Conference Finals Game 1. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, you're 100% right here. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, with this KD injury, it has made this Golden State team more dangerous. Because if you look at the Clippers series and then early in this Houston series, they were relying a lot on KD. He had 43-point game, a 45-point game. So Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they didn't have to have big performances because KD was the go-to guy. Speaking of Klay Thompson, he had his one good game in the series, and everybody's harping about how great a player he is. I guess if you are getting paid this much money and you have just one game to shine in the whole series, well, why not be Game 6 clinching on the road? So shout out to Klay Thompson for getting 27 points.
And Klay had a good game. And Michael, to your point, it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that Klay Thompson has his best games when Kevin Durant's not there.
Yeah.
He's getting more shots. He's getting the shots that he used to get 3 years ago. And it's just it's just a more of a, I don't know if they're better without KD but it's a more free flowing offense. It's not the ISO ball. And
they are not more dangerous. It's just you don't know who is going to get that last second shot. If it's a tied game at the end of the game with 5 or 6 sacks, who is going to get the ball? Is it Klay? Is it Steph? Who is it going to be at that point? So it's a lot harder to guard. So that's why I think they're a more dangerous team now moving forward.
Let's not make no mistake about it though. You add KD back and they're almost unbeatable. It's almost unfair.
You're right.
But you're right. I mean, they can be really dangerous. I mean, and it's a free flowing offense because it's what the Golden State Warriors were a couple years ago. Now the depth isn't there what they had a couple years ago because they're having to pay KD a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that same four that won a championship in 2015 and that won 73 games. That same four with Iguodala, Draymond, and Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry, they're still on the court at the end of the game, and that team is very, very dangerous. Very a better free-flowing offense. So this isn't any kind of slam dunk just because KD's not out, but KD makes them that much better.
Well, and just to add to your point here, just a tad bit here, they may not have as much depth as they did in previous years, but if you think about this, they have been turning the switch off and on all year, just like you said, over and over and over. So with their starters on the bench for 5 or 6 minutes, they can shut that switch off as soon as they come back in. It might be a tied game, they might be down by 6. They could turn that switch back on, and they're up by 28 points. So I'm not.
And they've been turning that switch off and on for a while now, not just this year. They turned it off and on in Game 7 or the last year's Western Conference Final. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. They just played around with the Rockets, and the Rockets almost could have won that series. The Rockets took them to 7, and Golden State kind of played around with them. Right. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. And I'll just go back to it just real quick. Houston was up like 17 and 22 and lost those games, and they lost big in those games. What does that tell you? The Golden State Warriors turned the switch on, and we're tired of the Rockets and just turned it on. Not only did they catch them with the lead, down 17 and down 22, the Rockets fans were all going crazy. Oh, we can win this time. No, not really. They caught you, and then they ended up beating you by 20. Yep. So it was the most amazing. Yeah, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen for a team to turn a switch off and on like that. I haven't seen a switch turn off and on like that since the Kobe. Got to take it to another level. They turned that switch on way better than the Kobe Shaq Lakers. The Kobe Shaq Lakers is baby stuff compared to how these guys turn the switch on.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit there, but you're referring to the Kobe and Shaq era LA team, right?
Yeah, how they
Okay.
turn it off and on.
Right. Okay. So
How they
we're
turn it off and on, but the Warriors are better than them at turning it off.
yeah, and they do it a lot more consistently. Like I think they've only failed to turn it back on that one time versus Clippers so far
Yeah.
this season when they gave up what was that 31-point lead, was it?
Yeah.
31 to
Yeah.
32-point lead.
Game 1, yeah.
Right. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. Speaking of game sevens here, we have two game sevens to talk about here on the Marcus and Mike show. We'll be right back. And guys, welcome back to the Marcus and Mike show. I am Mike at mbuck41 on the Twitter machine. If you're here new on the YouTube channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. You'll get a notification every time we premiere a new episode. I usually try to get up at 2:30 Eastern time, Monday through Friday. The man over here to my left is Marcus at Marcus the Freak on the Twitter machines. Guys, if you're also listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc., be sure to follow us on those podcasts. Leave a ranking as well. We are a very new podcast, so guys, just give us some love a little bit here. So, Marcus, speaking of game sevens, like we alluded to a little bit before the break here, we had two game sevens, not three, on Sunday as I predicted. Let me give a little bit of brush off my shoulders here, a tad bit here.
Yeah.
But we had two really, really good games on Sunday afternoon. The first one I want to talk about is the Trailblazers versus the Denver Nuggets. The Trailblazers went into Mile High and beat the Denver Nuggets 100-96. Very great game, very back and fourth game. But what is playoff Dame's name? Like, it's just Dame or playoff Dame or whatever alter ego he is referring to himself out. He had a great game. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, yeah, no, Dame actually struggled for most of the game. He had a big steal, and then he had a three-pointer late or within like the last couple of minutes. That steal was huge, and that three-pointer was huge. But C.J. McCollum carried them to this victory.
Yes, he did. 37 points.
Yeah. I mean, C.J. McCollum was just fabulous. He's another one. I want to make a list of the greatest players in NBA history that have never made an All-Star team. I don't think CJ's made an All-Star team. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't.
Denver did the exact same thing. They played the exact same way in Game 7 against the Spurs that they did against the Trailblazers. Jamal Murray was a no-show, and in that game, in Game 7 versus the Spurs, Denver went 2 for 20 from three-point range and shot under 40%. Well, this time they went 2 for 19 from the three-point line. I mean, really, they just didn't show up at all. Jokic was great. He's usually the best player on the court, but he's a hell of a player. If I had to pick one player out of this series to start a team, it wouldn't be McCollum or Lillard. It'd be Jokic. I'd start my team with him. He just needs to lose a little weight because he looks like he gets a little winded there, and his stamina's in question, I believe. I think really that's what they need to talk to him about before in their exit door strategy, exit door meetings. Every NBA team, every professional team has these exit door meetings on what they want the player to work on. And Jokic is just conditioning. He needs to. I don't know what he's eating, but he needs to stop whatever he's doing. But McCollum was great. Yeah, McCollum was great. And I mean, Jamal Murray was horrific. I don't even know what I have no idea. And in that Game 7, he hit a big shot against the Spurs, but he was actually horrific. I mean, he hit one shot down the stretch, just like Lillard did. But his was a 2-pointer. Lillard's was a 3-pointer. And Denver tried to just give this thing away, and they gave it away. The Spurs could have won their Game 7 as well had they had a player get hot like C.J. McCollum. The Spurs held the Nuggets to 90 points and 2 for 20 3-point shooting. Like I mentioned just a minute ago, Denver was 2 for 19 this past Game 7 against Portland. You're not going to win like that in the NBA going 2 for 19 or 2 for 20. They did against the Spurs because the Spurs didn't have a player like C.J. McCollum getting into the lane. DeRozan tried to do it at the end, but it was too little too late. But, man, I mean, the Blazers really showed me something. They better hope that Rodney Hood is back. They're going to need Rodney Hood in this second round. I think he went out with a knee sprain. And where Portland gets in trouble, and they mentioned this on the telecast, is you can have Lillard and you can have McCollum out there, But if you have you have three other guys that can't shoot the ball, you're in trouble. And they were almost in trouble against the Nuggets, and they'll definitely be in trouble against the Warriors. That's why Rodney Hood is so important. As a matter of fact, Rodney Hood is so important, and that trade that they made to get Rodney Hood a couple of months ago, he saved that quadruple overtime game for them. It was the Rodney Hood show. And Rodney Hood is one of the guys where Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum were in trouble. They can throw it to Rodney. Rodney was a former lottery pick. I mean, this guy's outstanding. They threw it to Rodney Hood, and he's hitting jumpers like in his sleep. Rodney Hood has that ability. He has that talent. And so they're really going to need him against the Warriors. Let's hope he's okay. But, we could do this little thing, a little spiel about how maybe the Nuggets aren't ready and all that stuff like that. But the Nuggets are the real deal as well. These were two complete teams going at each other. I thought Denver was a little bit more complete team, but Portland really showed that what Terry Stotts is doing and how they've put together this team and that Rodney Hood trade a couple of months ago. Portland is really doing well with this organization now. They're just like everybody else. They're kind of like the Spurs and Denver. We're all in that OKC. They're not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. I don't think so, unless there's certain things that may have to happen, and we'll get into that in tomorrow or whenever that series starts. I think it does start tomorrow. But if they just wait it out and in other words, wait out Durant leaving, and then now Portland could be the favorite. Denver's going to be the favorite. Spurs are in the mix too. Spurs are right there. They take Denver to Game 7, could have won. OKC's in the mix, even though they got beaten 5. We'll see what happens. Everybody's like the whole Western Conference is like waiting for Durant to leave. And Portland is going to be right there. They get Nurkic back. I'll tell you this right now. Portland, if a healthy Nurkic right now, and if Durant goes to the Knicks, it'll be Portland and Golden State again in the Western Conference Finals.
Well, let me stop you right there. We thought that same thing about the Boston Celtics last year when they got Kyrie and Gordon Hayward back. It's just the gelling of the team did not quite mesh up. So hopefully you are right, because I would like to see somebody besides Golden State represent the Western Conference in the finals. So I really hope you are right there. But every time when a team loses and or wins a series, or especially a Game 7, you ask yourself, did Portland win this game or did Denver lose this game? That type of thing. And I got to go, Denver lost this game 100%. Now, most people are going to go to the fourth quarter and they're going to say, oh, they did this, 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 and this, and this. No, this happened in the second quarter. Portland was shooting 28% in the second quarter, only scoring was like 12 or 13 points. Something ridiculous.
Right.
Denver had a chance to blow that lead wide open, and they could not hit a broadside of a barn either to save their lives.
You're right.
I think it was a 7-point or an 8-point game going into halftime. It should have easily have been 20 plus points. And
yes, at least 15.
Yeah. I mean, just you are a professional NBA team, and neither team, I think it was 28 total points in the second quarter. It was horrendous shooting on both both sides. But the Denver Nuggets had to take advantage of Portland's shooting so bad at home. They could have put the nail in the coffin early in the going into the third quarter, and they could not do that. They gave Portland a bunch of life, and it showed in the second half. Portland had a little bit more jump in their step. They were playing with a lot more energy. The Denver Nuggets, they looked wore out. They looked like the altitude was bothering them a tad bit.
Yeah.
What was it? I believe they were down 6 points, or no, it was 5. It was 5 points with 11 seconds left, and there's the guy's name slipped in my mind now, but
Jokic.
Yeah, he missed the front end of the foul shot.
Yes, Jokic
and,
the free throw.
And that shot was it. He looked like a freshman college player that has never played past the month of January. His legs looked completely gone. He was tired. That shot was a very ugly, very, very short shot. And then he airballed that 3-point that he forced up. But that is beyond the point by that point. But Denver Nuggets definitely lost this game, lost this series in that second quarter of Game 7, and I'm really disappointed at like it. And moving forward, though, I do like their team moving forward onto next year, especially
Yeah,
without especially without KD being on the Golden State.
yeah. Yeah, no, I got to give Terry Stotts a lot of credit. That Portland team came out in the third quarter and really blitzed them. I mean, Denver didn't come to play that third quarter, you could say they lost it too. I mean, yeah, you have a decent lead, like a 10-point lead. It should have been 15 or 20, like Michael, like you were just talking about. And yeah, at the end of that game, man, but Jokic always looks like that. He always looks like, you know, somebody he's in battle and somebody wounded him.
Yeah,
and he's trying to move up and down the court. I mean, he's been looking like that for a while. That's why, I mean, that's the number one goal for him. He has all the skill in the world to be, a top 5 NBA player, and he is right now. So imagine if he dropped the weight. Give Portland a lot of credit, and we'll see. I think it will be Portland, Golden State next year, especially if Nurkic comes back and then KD sits out.
I really hope you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different situation than the Boston situation, but where you're right is, let's see if Portland can handle success.
Yes.
Because they're going to get to the Western Conference Finals, and sometimes teams go, yeah, we got to the Western Conference Finals, and we took Golden State to this and this, and for some reason it's weird. You think they're going to come back hungry and ready to beat Golden State again, and they might lose in the first round. That's how tough this West is.
Yeah.
They might lose in the first round to whoever they play. I mean, this thing is crazy. I mean, it's wide open.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you. The West from 1 through 12, they're pretty solid. I mean, obviously, Golden State is a little bit further than like everybody else, but even down to the 11th and 12th seeded teams, they're all pretty solid, and they could definitely beat anybody night in and night out. Definitely looking forward to the draft to see how these 9, 10, 11, 12 teams can improve their stock, hopefully. But we'll definitely get a little bit of that after the break. So we're going to take one more break, and we'll be right back.
We're talking Philly and Toronto.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. If you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc., anywhere you get your podcast form, you're hearing us, be sure to follow that. Give us a little bit of ranking, preferably 5 stars. And if not, let us know why. We'll definitely improve the show to better suit your needs, to suit your taste a little bit. Man, over here to my left is Marcus. Marcus, we have one more Game 7 to talk about from the second round. You had Philly taking on Toronto. Toronto pulled it out 92-90 behind Kawhi Leonard's 41 points. Let me hear your thoughts about him.
Well, Kawhi Leonard's just amazing. I mean, the dude's probably the best player in the NBA. I mean, it's ridiculous. He makes an array of shots everywhere. He actually struggled. This is a game he struggled, right? But then he makes the game-winning shot, right? So a game where he struggles to make shots, but he's going to hit the game winner. That's almost like fitting. I tell you what, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. We talked about last week, what are coaches supposed to do? They're supposed to put their players in the best positions to succeed, right? I mean, that's what the job of a coach is. That's the definition.
100%.
You take a look at Joel Embiid. People ask me all the time. I mean, I get it. Like, how good is Joel Embiid? And we go on Facebook or anywhere I go. I said, Joel Embiid has a chance to be, I know this sounds crazy, better than Kareem, better than Tim Duncan. I mean, he has that chance. He has the ability, better than Akeem, better than Shaq. And why? Anybody would want to ask?
Why?
It's because he can take you in the post.
Yes.
He can destroy you with an array of moves. He has a mid-range game. He can hit 15-footers in your face all day long. Then he expands to the three-point line. And the guy, there's been no 7-footer in history, not even Dirk, that can take you like deep in the post, dunk on you. Then he's a great shot blocker and all that stuff. Dirk wasn't. Where he's different than Akeem and all them. He can shoot threes. I mean, he's just ridiculous. I mean, he has a chance to be the best, but he has all these nagging injuries, and it looks like like Jokic. He looks like he's about to die too, right? And so these guys need to get in better shape. Maybe he's just going to be injury prone this whole year. But going back to the coach putting you in the best positions to succeed, you have got to get Joel Embiid in the last few minutes of a game and get him down in the block and throw the ball to him. and then it makes everybody better. He doesn't always have to stand at the 3-point line. Everybody falls in love with the 3-pointer. And I know Greg Popovich would get mad at me. He's like, who are you to question Brett Brown? But I would tell Pop, you wouldn't do what Brett Brown did. You'd put Jokic. You don't want Embiid. You wouldn't put Embiid out there at the 3-point line just exclusively. You'd put him out there a few times because he can hit it. But you would have Embiid's butt down in the block and scoring. And I know Gasol is probably his best, the best defender that could guard him. Like last series, he had Jared Allen. Jared Allen 6'10". Jared Allen could not handle Embiid in the post, and neither can Marc Gasol. But at least Marc Gasol is taller than Jared Allen. But that doesn't matter. You got to put Embiid's butt down in the block and let him go to work. You put Embiid is that much better than everybody else, and you did not utilize all his talents. Brett Brown, he gets a grade D for me. I mean, everybody else was okay, but man, one thing he did well is he took Ben Simmons off the ball a little bit and put it in the hands of Jimmy Butler. Okay, good strategy. But you also got to throw it to Embiid down in the box there in the last 5 minutes of the game and let Embiid go to work on Marc Gasol. Then if he gets a double team, you throw it out, and there you got Tobias Harris, who's about to get a max contract to be wide open for a shot. J.J. Redick, Jimmy Butler. Have Simmons cut to the basket, so if he gets a double team, Simmons gets a dunk. I mean, it was just all perimeter at the end of the game. Yeah, Jimmy Butler taking fadeaway 3-pointers against this great Toronto defense. Hey, Jimmy, that works in the regular season, that game-winning step-back 3 you made. He made it a couple of times in the regular season. Hey, buddy. Hey, newsflash, Jimmy Butler, that fadeaway 3 is not going to work against Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, man. It's not going to work. And he airballed it. I mean, the offense was terrible.
It was ugly.
The Philadelphia 76ers offense was terrible in the last 5 minutes of the game. I mean, get Embiid's butt down in the block and let's see what happens. You got to get some easy buckets. You can't just start trading threes.
Yeah.
And then, it was pathetic. It was terrible. I think it was one of they had the worst possessions. It was terrible. I mean,
you got to be really disappointed. You have a 7 foot, 260-pound Joel Embiid versus a Gasol that's, he's 6'10", 6'11", maybe 200 and 210 pounds. Like, throw your weight around in there. Like, I mean, get him down on the block, get him down, like, score some points. Sheesh.
Yeah, Gasol might be 7 feet as well, but who cares? Like, do spin move, up fake, do something. Use your butt. He has a lot of weight into him. Use your butt. Get him out. Get him off. Get Gasol off the defensive spot there and lay it in on him.
You don't even have to use your spin move. Just back him down. Use your 260-pound frame. You are a thick-bodied boy. Like, handle him. Sheesh. Yeah. But just like we did last this last segment, I'm asking myself, did Philly win this game? Did Toronto win this game, or did Philly lose this game? Philly lost the game. Their coaching staff lost the game. You have to put your big body boy on the block. Get you some easy baskets, like some baskets when your offense is struggling the way it was in those last 6-7 minutes, like, of that game.
Yeah.
Like, would you rather have 2 points every 3 or 4 times down the court per 5 shots, or 1-3 per 5 shots? Like, I mean,
it's ridiculous. You're 100% correct.
I mean, you have to start thinking like old school basketball. Hey, throw it down there, clear it out, let him show some muscle, so just show something. The one thing I did not like is Joel Embiid, like, crying in front of the media to his wife or fiance. Like, I mean, like, save that for the locker room or something, man. Like, man.
Hey, no, I don't mind. I don't mind the tears, man. It shows he cares, man. That stuff doesn't bother me at all. I had a boxer the other day, Williams. I think he beat some man. It was on ESPN. I was watching. He was crying. He was so happy he won. I don't mind when the grown men show emotion like that, man. It doesn't. That means it's showing that he cares, man. I mean, that's to each his own. I'm not really worried about that. And then J.J. Redick, you got to run him off some better screens at the end of the game. Let's see what happens. I mean, Toronto's defense is awesome. I mean, we've talked about that till we're blue in the face. We watched the NCAA tournament, Virginia and Texas Tech play defense.
Yes.
Well, Toronto is them on steroids.
Love it.
And they guarded that perimeter like they were saving trying to guard somebody's life. I mean,
Right.
Toronto bottled Philadelphia up defensively. It was awesome to watch. They didn't let them get in any sets or anything like that. But Philadelphia should have countered and thrown the ball into Joel Embiid. And then yeah, Redick had 4 threes. I predicted he'd have 5 the other game.
Yep.
If he had 5, they might have won the game.
They would have won it. Yep.
And people, what Toronto did was pretty good. I mean, Philadelphia has the best starting 5 besides Golden State in the playoffs. Well, not anymore, but they have the best starting. They have like 4 max players, Philadelphia, 4 max contract players, and JJ Redick, who's like worth a half of a max.
Mm-hmm.
So Philadelphia, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Simmons, and be super talented players, and you're going home to a lesser talented team, but a team that played better defense, had better fundamentals, the better coach. I hate to say that, Nick.
Yeah, you're right.
Better coach than Brett Brown this series. The bottom line is Toronto had the better player.
Yeah, and
the best player on the court, Kawhi Leonard.
And we are dogging the coach. We are dogging the last 5 minutes of the Philly game, but Philly played a pretty damn good game the first 42, 43 minutes of that game. The scoring was pretty equal all the way across the board. Like I think, let me look at the score here. The lowest was Simmons with like 13, and Joel Embiid led the way with 21 points. So when all of your scores are 15 plus points, or sorry, all of your starters are 15 plus points, like in a game, you are evenly distributing the ball. Normally you're going to have a pretty good chance of winning that game, but that defense from Toronto,
it reminded me.
It is freaking awesome.
It reminded me of the Spurs 1999 defense where, the Spurs let some people score back and forth. But then the last 5 minutes of the game, Tim Duncan and David Robinson, the rim would get smaller. And teams couldn't score on the Spurs in 1999 in the last 5 minutes. Well, Toronto's doing that, but they're doing it perimeter-wise because the game's changed. So now they're guarding that three-point line. You're not getting a three-point shot on Toronto.
Well,
in the last game.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're not. And then the only bucket that Philadelphia scored, and Jimmy Butler did the right thing because Kawhi Leonard missed the free throw, and Jimmy Butler, he didn't get it and set up offense. He got that thing and he raced that thing to the basket to get 2 points. He's like, hell no, I don't want to set up any offense against these guys. I got to get to the basket and lay it in. And he did the right thing. I mean, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't miss that free throw, it doesn't even come down to the Kawhi Leonard great shot. And by the way, I knew when he shot it, if it went in, that would be I have never seen a buzzer beating game 7 shot. I've seen buzzer beater game 5s and game 6s and game 4s. I can recall them by memory. Garherd 1976, Ralph Sampson 1986. I mean, there's been some that have been pretty good. I've never seen a game 7. So Kawhi Leonard, this was the first game 7 buzzer beater. That's incredible in the history of the NBA basketball. That's incredible.
Yeah, and we got to experience it live, which was pretty amazing. That
Kawhi Leonard was sitting down when the ball went in.
Yeah.
Did you see that? He was actually, by the time the ball went in, he was squatting down. I've never seen that either. No. That's incredible.
I feel like we just watched a instant classic game. You could air this game 10 years down the road, and it's still going to be an exciting game to watch, just the way it was. But let's take one more quick break, and we're going to come back and we're going to touch a little bit on the NBA draft lottery that's coming up tomorrow. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Marcus and Mike show, guys. I am Mike. Man over here to my left is Marcus. Marcus, we went through the NFL draft 3 weeks ago. Greatest time of your life. Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, Easter, Thanksgiving, all rolled into one. Now, what are your thoughts on this NBA lottery? Does it still get you as excited picking the ping pong balls?
No, it does this is great stuff. I love this. It may not be Christmas, maybe it's Thanksgiving or something for me. I love the NBA draft lottery that's coming up Tuesday, especially when there's a transcendent player that everybody thinks. I have questions about. I don't think he's a slam dunk as like an Allen Iverson or Tim Duncan or LeBron James or Kareem or insert any number one pick that you want to insert there. I don't think he's as good as those players, but I think he's a really, really, really special, talented kid that has a chance to be a perennial all-star. But probably, I think his ceiling is not Tim Duncan. It's not Allen Iverson. I don't think. I think his ceiling is, when it's all said and done, maybe a 6 or 7 time all-star. Yeah, 18 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 3 blocks a game because of athleticism. But that being said, if you were to win the draft lottery like the Knicks, and you were guaranteed a player that was going to be an 8 time All Star, average 18 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks, that would be the number one pick of the draft. Okay, so everybody's vying for this number one pick. Um, right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Phoenix Suns and the Knicks have the best odds to get Zion Williamson, and I'm hoping he goes to the Knicks. I really do. I mean, they've been struggling for years. Let Zion go to the Knicks, man. I don't want him in the West. I don't have to deal with that his jumping out of the gym in the West. Let him go to the East. Let him make the East stronger. The East has been weak for many years. Now it's top. The Eastern Conference is top heavy this year, which is great. Kawhi Leonard's there. Giannis has come into his own. Um, so yeah, and in Philadelphia had Embiid's been great. So the East is top heavy. Let's get the Eastern Conference a little bit more players at the bottom, and so that starts with on Tuesday night with the draft lottery. And make no mistake about it, there will be no secret who will be the number one pick of this draft, especially if it's the New York Knicks now and Cleveland Cavaliers. But if it's the Phoenix Suns, and I've gone round and round about this with a couple of people in San Antonio who I respect a lot, and they said they would still take Zion if they were the Phoenix Suns. I would really consider John Morant,
Me too.
kid out of Murray State for the Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
Suns, to have a backcourt of John Morant and Cory Booker. I think that's exceptional, and I think John Morant is he jumps like Zion, so it's not like you're getting a lesser talented kid in terms of athleticism. Now, if John Morant couldn't jump that well and was just a good steady point guard, I'm taking Zion. But the fact is, John Morant plays his position as well as Zion Williamson plays his position, and that's a fact. This guy has an array of moves, can hit threes. I mean, there might be no weakness in John Morant's game if he really if he really is consistent from the 3 point line. He's got the handles. There is no weakness in John Morant's game, and so now you're talking the Phoenix Suns. If they had the number one pick, I might take John Morant. But what I probably would do, and you'll probably agree with this because we talked about this with the NFL draft. Phoenix Suns get that number one pick. I would bluff everybody and tell everybody I'm taking Zion Williamson because that way I'll get a whole lot of trade assets, and you can have this number one pick.
You're right.
You
You
know,
are
or
you are
or,
100% right on that.
yeah, or you trade to number two, whoever number two is. Say the Knicks are two or Cleveland's two.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get Cleveland's number one pick next year, and I might even get one of their players that's pretty good, and then I'll go ahead and go from one if Phoenix Suns get the first pick, and I'll move back to two and get a next year's number one, and now I have my guy that I wanted all along in John Morant. So this is going to be real interesting to see tonight who gets the number one pick because you do have a special prize at that number one pick. Not as good as Duncan, not as good as Iverson and Kareem, but he could be special. He could be a perennial all-star.
You are right. I mean, we are definitely going to talk a lot about this in like the next month to 6 weeks here. But
Yeah,
you said Zion has a chance to be a 6 to 8 time like All Star, and like I couldn't agree more with that. But I think Ja Morant has more room to grow. Uh, like he could be an All Star. He could be a like a Russell Westbrook in this league.
yes,
What people fail to understand is that these two guys, Ja Morant and Zion, both played on the same AAU team back in the day, back when they were in
yeah,
high school. So for like people to like say that he doesn't have any large time experience playing so many people are saying that he is only as good as he was because of the level of competition that he
yeah,
was playing against. That is total false. He has played against
false.
great players on the AAU circuit. He was just overlooked by a lot of these teams because they were all focused on
Yes,
Zion and Cam. Like they're all the same age. They all played on the same team. It's just Ja Morant fell in love with this team that he went to. the
Yeah,
Murray State.
Murray State.
I believe they're the
Yeah,
Golden Eagles or something
yeah,
like that. And
yeah,
and like, why not go to a school where you are going to be the man, and you can be the man on ESPN, big dunks, and
yeah,
and then lead Murray State to a second round NCAA game. Just it's
yeah.
like, that's just a great story. The one thing I want to add on this NBA lottery thing, I like the way they have switched it up. Now the top three teams have 14% chance of getting the number one pick. The fourth team has a 12% chance, and then it's 10, 9, 6, 6, 6, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. I really like how they changed those odds. Um,
Yeah.
just because it it helps the tanking so much, the trust the
Yes.
process issue per se. Uh, so the best, so the top three teams that have the best chance is Phoenix,
Yes.
Cleveland, and New York. Chicago has a 12% chance. Atlanta has a 10% chance. Washington has 9, and then Dallas, Memphis, and the Pelicans have 6, and then it's a 1% for everybody else. Um,
No, I agree with you 100% on both your points you made. I like the fact that they've changed it up, the lottery, a little
mhm.
bit more of a chance for people to get it, so the tanking aspect is not there.
Yes.
Great point by you. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's an excellent point by you, that in 15 years from now, when we look at this, Zion Williamson will be like a 6, 7-time All-Star, and John Morant could be a 12-time All-Star.
Yeah.
He could be a better player in the NBA than, because of the point guard position. And Zion is only 6'6.5" now. Now, if Zion was 6'10", people would disagree with you, but he's not.
Right.
That's Zion's fallback, is he's a shorter player. So you could have a situation where, absolutely, you're 100% right. John Morant in the long run turns out to be a better player, a better NBA player than Zion Williamson, even though I know everybody knows Zion Williamson is going to go number one. Great point by you. That's why I think Phoenix would be a little hesitant on taking Zion Williamson. They have Ayton already. They've got some good. They got some decent front court players. I think if I'm Phoenix Suns, I want to compete with being the best backcourt in the NBA. And let me just tell you this right now. As good as Klay Thompson is, and I love Joe Harris from the Nets and C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard, there is not a better shooter you could put right there as the player I'm talking about for the Phoenix Suns is Booker. Booker can shoot lights out.
Yes.
Okay, and you put John Morant in a Booker Morant backcourt, that is amazing. So Phoenix Suns, I think I would. That's the direction I would go in. I'd lay off Zion Williamson and be a John Morant Booker backcourt, and that would be my backcourt for many years to come.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. The one team that I don't want to get the number one overall pick is the Knicks, because it has been rumored that Kyrie and KD are both going to the Knicks after this season's over. I believe it was Stephen A. Smith from
Yeah.
ESPN said it was a 95% chance. They don't want to put a 100% chance on it, because it is still KD and Kyrie, and they have egos at the end of the day. And then they got Kevin Knox still. So if you put KD, Kyrie on the like on a team, Kevin Knox and Zion all on the same team, that is a Golden State Warriors team just out east now, almost. I mean, there won't be as good, but it'll still be a juggernaut team.
It will be. You're right. I don't mind that at all, to be honest, for the Knicks to come up like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. I want as long as it's not in the. See, I'm a Western Conference guy, so as long as it's not in the Western Conference, I don't care.
Right.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and Zion Williamson's fine with me. And if Kyrie Irving doesn't go to the Knicks, I think he might join LeBron with the Lakers.
Right.
But that would be fabulous. I mean, the Knicks would have a really good team. Listen, the Knicks. You know when the last time the Knicks won a championship?
No.
I was 5 months old.
There you go.
So that's 1973. So, they need, and then they made it in 99, and they had the Patrick Ewing years of the 90s and 80s. Yeah. They just could never get over the hump. 1973, the Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, and those guys. 1973, I was 5 months old. So, dude, they're due for something. Any little good news, I don't mind them getting it. Long as it's not in the Western Conference, keep them out east. That'll make the Eastern Conference very strong, and that'll make it more wide open in the West.
Yeah.
So
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that at all.
So you are rooting for the Knicks. I'm going to root for the Atlanta Hawks. I would like to see them because I like Trey Young and
yes.
that other young guy they got this
Torian Prince is from San Antonio. Warren High School, Baylor Bears, and he's a heck of a player.
Yeah.
No, they're building something in Atlanta. You know what they're trying to do? They're not really trying to sign big free agents, big time free agents. A lot of them don't want to go to Atlanta.
Right.
They're building like the Golden State Warriors, well, prior KD.
Yeah.
They're building like the Spurs and the Sixers. They're trying to build their team through the draft, and so the Atlanta Hawks are doing a good job.
I like it. But guys,
Yeah.
we will talk more lottery picks tomorrow as the ping pong balls fall. We will. I believe it is tomorrow, right? When the ping pong balls.
Yeah, tomorrow at about 7:00.
Yeah. So we will definitely know Wednesday of how the picks fall out. And throughout the next month, we'll do our top 10, maybe even the first round as the finals gets over and whatnot. But guys, join us tomorrow, 2:30 East Coast time on YouTube, also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcast. If you're driving down the road and like to listen to our beautiful voices while driving to and from work, on the way home, whatever, all that good stuff. So from myself and Marcus, we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.